Hello, beautiful people. My name is Marika Gare, and this is the Inspiration Trilogy. And today we have Nina from Mindful Parenting Lifestyle talking to us. Hello, Nina. How are you?
Yeah, great, Marika. Nice to be here.
And it's nice to have you. So, for anyone who may not have seen you out and about on socials and whatnot, tell us a little bit about yourself and your business.
Great. Well, I'm Nina. I live in Perth and I have three little boys, two, a 4, and a 6-year-old.
Wow.
And I am one of those people that never really thought about parenthood, never really knew if I was going to have kids. And then all of a sudden, here I am in my late 30s with three boys and finding it way harder than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
So I did a mindful parenting course to try to improve things and loved it so much. It changed my life. And then I had the opportunity to learn to become a mindful teacher trainer. So I did that, and all of a sudden I had this gift that I could share with other mums, other parents. And so I decided to make a little business out of it, Mindful Parenting Lifestyle.
Fabulous, because it's so important to have that mindfulness when dealing with children. Like you say, they don't come with a book. Everybody, you hear all this, everybody says the same sort of cliche things, but really until you have children, you just don't understand. It's so intense, and the lack of sleep and everything else. But a lot of parents don't like to admit that they might be struggling. It's something
Yeah.
that I've found during my time as a mother and talking to other moms. I want to feel like, oh, I know my child. There's nothing wrong with me in the way that I parent. It's just the way I guess it can come across in society. But there's nothing wrong with reaching out and building a greater bond with your child by understanding the complexities of their emotions. Because you've got the tantrums, you got the lack of sleep, the naughty behavior, the not listening, and it drives every parent nuts. But they're not doing it to drive you nuts. It's easy to just lose your temper and get really frustrated with it, especially when you're tired. But there's reasons why they do these things. So a lot
Yeah.
of it can be, they want more attention, or perhaps they're struggling emotionally and they just need that to be recognized and to find ways to process that and go through it. So
Yeah.
what kind of courses, I mean, I know myself, but for the listeners out there, what kind of courses do you offer both for the parents and for the children to be able to build on things there?
Yeah, great question. So I run a mindful parenting course. So that's an 8-week program where we kind of go through the basics to be able to understand our own emotions, because it really starts with ourselves. What I found, or what I've learned as well, is that children learn from us. Everything that they do, they learn from us. So if we can't handle our emotions, they're not going to be able to handle theirs, even more so than is ingrained in being a young child. So the first part of the program is all about learning how to deal with your own emotions, your own anger, understanding where your triggers come from, learning communication skills to be able to better listen to your children and to better observe your children. And like you said, know where they're coming from when they're pushing the buttons and why they might be pushing the buttons, and ways to bring a simple life, simplifying the things that you have in the home and how your environment can affect both you and your children as well. So that's a mindful parenting course. I also run mindfulness classes for children. So that's all about learning different mindfulness techniques to be able to know what their emotions are, to identify their emotions, to, if they're feeling happy, to identify that and be able to feel happier for longer, or if they're feeling sad, to identify that and to accept it and to be comfortable with that and know that feelings kind of move in and out like the weather. And then on top of that, it's just like the weather, they come and go. And then I've combined those two aspects to create a membership whereby every month parents can get a part of mindful parenting, a part of mindfulness for children. They can have a Q&A session. We do live meditations and things like that. So it kind of encompasses all of those aspects together.
Wow.
But there's so many different parts in this whole mindful parenting realm that, where can you stop? There's just so much there.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so wonderful that you're able to offer that online as well. So you can reach out to people all over Australia and the world, which seems to be I guess, the thing these days as well, since that the big COVID. But
Yeah,
it works well because it means that anyone can access that at any time, because it's not always going to be the right time, especially when you've got children.
exactly.
You might be in the middle of this or middle of that, so you just pick and choose when the time is right for you. So that's a
100%.
really awesome thing. And I understand that you also do programs at daycares and schools, so tell us the offerings there.
Yeah, so the mindfulness program for kids I can run at schools and daycares. And on top of that, I run free webinars. So if your school would like to get involved, it's just a 1-hour webinar, or I can come to the school, teach a little bit about mindful parenting, kind of the basics about how it all works, and give you some tools and tips to kind of get the ball rolling. Because if you're anything like me, I had no idea about mindfulness when I first started. And I was a bit of a skeptic, I have to admit, but after practicing mindfulness, even for a week, the changes in myself were incredible. So I really want to share that with as many people as possible. So by offering webinars to schools and daycare centres, I really think, especially primary schools, because if you get in when the kids are young, and they can watch you as they're growing, and then they can grow with you as well. Really important.
Because they're such formative years as well. And I know from from a young age, say 12 months to the age of 6 is when they form their core personality, and where they utilize their coping mechanisms that will be for the rest of their life on a subconscious levels in some ways. So it's really important, and even sort of the years after that. So it prepares them for life, and that's what our job is as a parent as well. So if we're, like you said before, if we're struggling, that's how they're taught to sort of deal with their emotions and their stress levels. And it can be quite complex, but I think what you're doing is you're just doing so many amazing things. And like, you've got the courses for the parents and the children. So what kind of age ranges do you deal mostly with through your courses, or is it sort of a broader range up to the teens, or is it sort of the lower ages?
So the mindful parenting is the structure and the core concepts and everything can be adapted to all age ranges. So the lady Hunter Clark-Fields, who created the course, developed it when her children were 2 and 4. Okay. And now I think they're 13 and 15. So, and she still uses those principles. My kids are 2, 4, and 6. So that's what I do best. I don't have a teenager, so while I know I was a teenager, I've never parented one. So I can give you the tools and tips. I don't have any personal insights into teenagers.
But like you said, there's concepts that... Hey?
I know a lot about 4-year-olds.
And they're the exciting years, right?
Yeah, that's right. And so in terms of the mindfulness for kids, again, the programs themselves are based, could go up to teenagers as well. Again, I know younger children better. I feel a bit more comfortable with the younger children. However, I'm more than happy if there's older children that would like to learn. Definitely there's the same principles. It's just in the way that you speak as you're teaching them.
Yeah.
Kind of language that you use. Yeah.
And so is there a sort of something that you do with the parents and children together as well, apart from the separate courses?
I do have, with the mindfulness for children, parents can come along to that and learn the skills to then transfer them to the home. So in the class, for example, we might learn a breathing technique. So together with the children and with the parents watching, I'll do the breathing technique. It might be a box breath. And then the parents maybe might ask, depending on the age, ask the children to teach their parents when they get home, and then they can do that together. So that's kind of the way that I think is the best way, is to teach the children and the parents the skills, and then they can take it into their own home environment to do it together. I have a shop as well, Barika, and I sell a few mindfulness products. So there's a lovely mindfulness board game, which is just beautiful.
Oh, wonderful.
And like colouring books. So lots of activities that kids can do together, affirmation pencils, which are beautiful. So, you can colour together and read the affirmations while you're colouring, or you can play the board game or look through the affirmation cards, that kind of thing. Yeah. So there's lots of ways that families can do it together.
Oh, that's wonderful. So you're kind of like a I don't really like this term, but I can't think of anything else right now, is a one-stop shop
One
for
stop shop.
parents and children to really, access
Yeah.
their calm, be more mindful. You've got the games, you've got a little bit of everything. It's so wonderful. I think it's so important in this day and age. A lot of younger kids are suffering from anxiety. There's a lot more, I guess, aggressive behavior and that sort of thing moving down into the younger years.
Yeah.
So, and there's bullying in schools and all that sort of thing. So these tips on for them to be able to stay calm are really, really important. Do you have a
Mm.
course that sort of in the works at the moment, specific for bullying in the schools, or is that really just incorporated in that?
No, I don't have anything to do with bullying at the moment, but I think that learning the emotional regulation part would really make a difference. So being able to identify what you're feeling, so teaching our children to talk about how they're feeling and ways to handle those emotions. So, for example, my son, he gets cross at his brothers if they take his toys. So teaching him that instead of hitting back at his brother or he scratches, teaching him other ways to manage with that so that he can let out his anger in another way, in a thoughtful way. So, go and sit down, go and color. I sometimes even say, find a pillow and be angry at a pillow, instead of being angry at a person.
Yeah. And
So
that's good for parents too, right? Screaming into your pillow if you're feeling really frustrated.
should be like a local parent. So things like that. So that's to kind of to stop that. I like to think that it would help to stop him becoming a bully in the long term. In terms of being bullied, I guess it's that resilience, isn't it? Teaching them resilience, to stand up for themselves, to feel confident in themselves, to be able to not let it get to them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, look, obviously every child is different. Some are more sensitive than others, so it's working with your child and developing that to the level that they need it to.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more. You mentioned the membership earlier.
Yeah.
So does that include, just tell us a bit more about what's inclusive of that each month, and is it an annual pay rate?
Yeah. So it's at this stage it's just a monthly pay, $20 a month, and it's every month we do a short live parenting class, and initially the topics would be, so there'll be some lessons like a foundations, basically. So a couple of foundation lessons, which would be all ready for you to watch when you join to get the basics about mindfulness. And then each month we can have a special topic that we talk on. So we might talk about sibling rivalry. We might talk about what to do when you're going out in public to make life easier, or bedtime routine.
Yeah.
Every month there's a half an hour lesson for the children. So that's where we go through the mindfulness, and that's on a Saturday morning once a month. These live classes are recorded as well, so you have access to them for about 2 weeks afterwards. Every month we have an hour call in, so you can call in with a specific challenge, and as a group we'll talk through the challenge and come up with different ways that you can, or workshop different ways to manage different situations.
Yeah.
And then every month we have a live meditation, so it might be a 10-15 minute meditation. And that's really because if you've got it in your calendar, you're going to do it. So that's why at least it's one longer meditation for people to join in with. And then, of course, there'll be the opportunity to celebrate wins and successes and talk about challenges in the comments. We'll have there's a Facebook group as well, so that we talk about things that are happening in our lives. And hopefully, if we get enough Perth people, we'll have some social catch-ups too.
Awesome. And it's so important to not only get everything that you offer through the membership, but to have that, I guess, connection and village of support from other parents as well, because we all go through the same thing. It's just sometimes you just need to know that you're not alone. You're not going crazy. We're all in the same boat, and there's just ways to manage that and help each other through. So I think,
that was one of the main drivers to start the membership, was to build a community. I love the mindful parenting course, but what I found was that the course finished after 8 weeks. And if I didn't actively make contact with the participants afterwards, you know, like you've lost that community that you build over the 8 weeks. And so I really thought it was important to be able to continue that. And knowing that other people are going through the same is just, it's such a relief. It's like a big weight off your shoulders.
Yeah, absolutely. And it doesn't matter what age or what culture or wherever you're from, we're all doing the same thing. So
I think people get jaded from looking at Instagram, don't they? They think everybody has they always put pictures of their perfect child on Instagram. And it's really misleading, and they always tidy their house first or brush their hair or whatever.
And amazing, like honestly. Yeah. I think most of the time we walk around in our tracksuits with our house a mess, and and it's just, that's life. But it's something you have to enjoy those little moments as well, because as much as we want that clean house and we get really particular about, oh, don't do that, don't do this, these are such special moments and such special years that you don't get back. We can have a clean house later on. That's not the most important thing. It's building those relationships and those bonds. So it's hard to sort of get over that sometimes, but if you can get to that point, I mean, it's, you just enjoy.
When I had my kids, I made the rule that I would never apologize for having a messy house. I'd never apologize for being late, and I would never apologize for not brushing my hair. And there are 3 things that I still, to this day, I will never apologize for. And that is really liberating.
Yeah. And what I think is also important is when you're in a job, don't apologize for being a mother. Don't apologize for being there for your kid. And I've even been in a situation when I was talking to someone. I was interviewing her for a job, and she said, "Oh, I've got to let you know, I'm really sorry, but I'm actually pregnant, so you might not want me in the job." And no. I'm like, that doesn't matter, because we can work around that if you're the right person. Don't, like, it's such a beautiful moment. Don't feel like you need to apologize for being pregnant. That's, and unfortunately, our society can be a little bit that way. But I don't apologize for putting my son first ever over anything, because that is the most important thing. So, look, thank you so much for today. You've got some amazing products, amazing courses. And actually, one thing while I remember is you also do some nature walks, which I've been on recently, and it was so awesome. My son said to me when we got home, "Oh, could we do that every day? I really had so much fun today."
That's wonderful. Yes, I was going to mention that earlier when you talked about families. So I run nature walks every 6 weeks in Perth. I have a beautiful nature walk checklist that we print out, we take with us, and I have a picnic lunch afterwards. And honestly, it's just such a lovely day. All my family come. My 3 boys walk the track too, my husband, and whoever wants to come can come. So check out the dates on Facebook if anyone's keen. There's always a few dates there. And if I'm in other places, so if I'm in Melbourne and I've got enough people in the membership or in my Instagram following that are interested, definitely set one up over in Melbourne while I'm there. Or it's just such a nice day, and it's so cruisy, and nature just makes everyone happy, don't you think? Like,
it really does.
Being out in nature, not rushed, we're not in a time frame, we go on our walk, we chat, we have fun, we look at the nature around us, and we're in the moment. We don't have our phones on us or anything like that. We're with our kids in the moment. And even if you don't have a published or an official event, I really encourage your listeners to choose one weekend in the next month and just do it.
Yeah,
so good.
And it's so grounding and calming for both the parent and the child, and just taking note of the little things. And the great thing also is, depending on obviously the age of your child, but most children, after a nice big long walk and lots of fun, they're exhausted. They sleep amazing, which is even better. So there's so many benefits. Like I said, you're doing so many amazing things, and you're helping so many women and parents out there all over the world. So thank you so much for talking to us today. So where's the best way for people to contact you? We'll put your links in the bio, but where's the best way to contact you?
So just on probably Instagram or Facebook, Mindful Parenting Lifestyle. Instagram has a couple of underscores in there, so just check that one. And I do have a website as well, which is simply mindfulparentinglifestyle.com.au. Yes, AU at the end. Yeah, so that's probably the easiest way. And check out my membership if that might be something that you're interested in. It's kind of got the best of all worlds, which is how I like.
Absolutely. And it's good for a gift for somebody as well.
Ah,
You know, Mother's
definitely.
Days, birthdays, Christmas is coming up. You've got a shop full of products. There's so many opportunities there. So anyone
Yeah.
listening, go and check out the website. Thanks
Mm.
again for talking to us today.
My pleasure.
We'll
Thanks,
put the links in
Marita.
the bio. And yeah, so thank you everybody for listening today. I hope you've got some great tips from Nina today, and that you reach out to her if you feel like you need a little bit more. And we
Mm.
will see you soon on the next episode. Bye.
Bye.